Mercenaries mode for Resident Evil 4 Remake is here, and when it dropped, I forgot I was working. So I legitimately played the crap out of this. I got S ranking and S plus ranking with every character on every stage. I want to say this is really easy. I think that if you're really into the flow of the enhanced combat of Resident Evil 4 Remake, it's pretty straightforward. I don't think anyone's going to have any problems, I don't believe, unlocking any of the other characters. There's 4 in all. It's Leon, Luis, Krauser, and Hunk. And as you get an A rank with each of these characters, you'll unlock them. And each of them differ in terms of their loadout and their mayhem. And I will say this right now. Out of all the 4, I like Leon the least. And that is blasphemy, but hold on. Let me explain. I think it's mainly because you play as him through the campaign. I've done multiple runs, and I just want to see what the other half lives like. So I want to play as Luis and Krauser and Hunk. And the thing with Leon is, I found that with all the Mayhem modes. And Mayhem mode is a new mechanic in which you have this meter that you're building up as you're accumulating kills, and it allows you to pretty much go into a frenzy. So every other character has, in my opinion, a more interesting Mayhem mode than Leon. Now, Leon's and Hunks are technically kind of the same. With Hunk, you have unlimited ammo. And with Leon, you're just damage multiplier and bonus multiplier. So I think that, to me, just felt basic. It doesn't feel as creative as it could be. I still like Leon, but as I was playing Mercenaries mode and testing out the waters with Luis and Krauser and Hunk, I was just having a way better time with them. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk about the new Mercenaries mode. Let's talk about getting S rank. Let's talk about the rewards for S rank. And let's talk about also working into S+, S++. So the gameplay you're watching is going to be with every character, and I'm going to do a quick breakdown of my thoughts on each of the characters and how I got S+, which honestly I don't think was too hard. If you played RE4 Remake through standard, hardcore, professional, and you were comfortable with all the combat sections, you are going to breeze through this really quickly. Mercenaries mode is just a really fun excursion for you to flex on people because of how dope each of these characters can be, and utilizing the mayhem abilities because it's a lot of fun ripping people in half. Let's be honest about that. Before we dive into Leon, for the new mercenary mode players, you're going to learn really quickly that pathing is very important. You're going to want to make a mental note of where all the explosive barrels are, and you're going to want to make a mental note of where all the item pickups are in terms of time and mayhem. I would say leave the mayhem stuff alone until you're near endgame, or until you can kind of group enemies into a certain area and then activate it and then go crazy, because you're going to do a lot of damage. You're going to get a lot of bonus multipliers. It's very important that you take your time to path and run around, because early on it's not as hectic. You're going to notice that there are going to be some enemies, but as soon as you start getting into your kills, into your 20s and 30s, you're going to have little time to breathe. And in certain levels, like the island, you're going to have these small Las Plaga parasites who will jump on people's backs and they will chase the shit out of you. So you have to be very cognizant of where things are, otherwise you're going to struggle. Alrighty, let's talk about Leon. It's going to be pretty brief because I want to move on to the better characters, or the ones I found the most fun with. With Leon, you're going to want to use the pistol often, you're going to want to stagger enemies, and you're going to want to funnel enemies a lot. The reason why I say you want to stagger enemies is because melee, in my opinion, with Leon, is probably the most effective way of dispatching groups. Melee in Mercenaries can kill. I think later on, as the stage goes on and they start bringing on harder enemies, melee will do nothing more than knock them back. But for the most part, it will kill a lot of the enemies. It's just a really good way to clear. When you funnel enemies into straightaways, I recommend using the pistol for mayhem mode, primarily because point, damage, all that good stuff, really fun to utilize. If you happen to start running into the infected whose head are just popping off and tentacles everywhere, pop a flashbang and then move around and melee enemies. For whatever reason, the stun duration is still really long. You're going to get at least 3 to 4 people. When you start seeing the bosses, pull out the assault shotgun and immediately activate mayhem mode. You will decimate them, and then you can continue moving. Don't stop moving around. especially with Leon. I feel like with his kit, you're going to want to be in motion constantly. He's just more fun to play that way. Now let's dive into my favorite character, and that is Luis. So, yes, I love Luis so much. At first, he's very awkward. He has a red 9. He has the bolt action sniper rifle. You are probably going to be very uncomfortable playing with him, but he has a really good melee. He has a shoulder charge, which will knock enemies down and back. He has a really funny one where he pulls out the minecart bar and just knocks people in the head with it. So much fun. He has, in my opinion, next to Hunks, the best mayhem ability, because when it's activated, he immediately drops down and pulls out dynamite. But it knocks the enemies back as well, so it's going to give you enough time to get distance, and if you feel so inclined, you can shoot the dynamite, and it will do so much damage. You will more than likely kill a number of bosses with just one dynamite move. It is amazing. Plus, the red 9, when you're in mayhem mode, does an incredible amount of damage. But I'm serious when I say this. Regardless of whether or not it's the village, whether it's the island, whether it's the castle, you are going to want to use that dynamite ability as often as possible. It fills up so fast that you can spam this ability, and it is like your get out of jail free card. And because you can shoot the dynamite to activate it quickly, you can activate and drop multiple dynamite, and you're just killing and breezing through enemies, and it gives you enough time to breathe. So I recommend, especially with Luis on every level, just drop the dynamite when you're running away from enemies. Have them come toward it, shoot it. Now, I got overzealous in the village, and this was pretty funny my first time, because I wanted to see, like, if when you drop it again, does it knock enemies back? It does not. Dr. Salvador taught me a very valuable chainsaw lesson and sawed Luis in half because I was stupid. But the dynamite ability in Mercenaries is probably the best one in the game. It will kill, like I said, probably every boss in one shot, and if it doesn't, it will do enough damage to knock them down, stagger them, especially when you face the Garador in the castle. When both of them are coming at you, drop that dynamite quickly. If they happen to mess up, or you threw a flash beforehand and they're swinging wildly, it will kill them automatically because it's going to damage their backs and kill the parasite. I love Luis. He is the goofiest looking character. He's so out of place when he's like in combat. He's like sauntering with his little jog. It's so much fun to play him because of how, like, you see how kitted out Leon and Krauser and Hunk are, and then like Luis is like, I got dynamite, and you're just dropping it everywhere. And it's the best ability in the game, and it's so much fun clearing out groups of enemies. I feel like Luis is probably going to be the easiest character outside of Hunk to get S, S+, and S++, primarily because his dynamite ability can clear enemies, obviously giving you, increased bonus rate, point totals, it ups your time. I found him to be the most fun to use because of how goofy he is, but he's so effective because when you group enemies together, you can literally just stop an entire horde of Ganado, and they'll just slowly recover when the dynamite's first dropped, and then they'll kind of walk towards you, and you'll just see the numbers just pop on the screen. It's just so much fun to use. Plus, who doesn't like walking up to some of these bosses who've been giving you a hard time and just dropping dynamite from and telling them to go fuck themselves? All right, let's move on to Krauser, who I feel like is going to be kind of a bit contentious. You're either going to love him or you're going to hate him. If you're a fan of the original Mercenaries mode in Resident Evil 4, you're going to remember Krauser had TMP and an explosive bow. Same kit. The big thing is here, especially for players who are not comfortable with melee or kind of don't want to be up close and personal all the time or surrounded, unfortunately, that's where Krauser is at his best. And I feel like Krauser is just that character where you have to constantly be in motion and you cannot be stationary. With Luis and Hunk and Leon, because of their mayhem abilities, you kind of can stay in the same place. Krauser, not so much. His kit is just not built for that. You don't start out with enough explosive bolts, and honestly, the TMP sucks when it comes to being surrounded. But if you take the aggression that Krauser specializes in and you push constantly, you're going to be just fine. Pathing with Krauser is so important. You're going to want to remember where those mayhem pickups are at all times. Because when you're dragging these large hordes of Ganado and bosses towards you, once you activate your mayhem ability, swing wildly. Go crazy. You're going to kill most things in 1 to 2 hits. I think most bosses are probably, at least 3 to 4. Doesn't matter. Because that meter by itself takes so long to fill up, but it does deplete rather slowly. So you're going to be able to clear large groups of enemies. But I recommend that you path properly with Krauser. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. And when you first play him, you're going to be probably asking yourself, what's the best option for this character? And the answer is aggression. The answer is you're going to want to take the fight to the enemy because you're going to want to pick up these grenades and flashbangs. That's honestly the best way to use Krauser. That's how I got S+ with him on every level. And that's how I've been working toward S++. He'll probably frustrate you for a little bit, especially because of how slow the mayhem meter builds up. But once you get to the island level, you're going to recognize, because of that verticality and because of all the places you can move to, that Krauser is really fun to play. He can just be really frustrating when he's not doing enough damage with the TMP. So stick with him. I think you should get S ranking pretty easily. And I would say, for me, I found Krauser to be the most challenging character to play, but also the most rewarding, especially when you started just ripping through enemies. Let's move on to the last character, who just happens to be the most broken character, and that is Hunk. So, yeah, I feel like he's a reward. He really is. You're let's say you're frustrated playing as Luis or Krauser, and you're just like, I just didn't have a good kit, or I'm just not doing enough damage, and I gotta, meet certain requirements for this character to be effective. Hunk, from the jump, is a menace. Seriously. He has a submachine gun, and you do critical hits constantly. And he just mows enemies down. I don't think anybody should have any real issue getting S to S+ rank. You will love playing Hunk the moment you start hitting lines of enemies with the submachine gun. It just rips them to pieces. And here's the best part. His mayhem ability gives him unlimited ammo. So that submachine gun turns into a chainsaw. And all you have to do is just sit in a certain area and just hold down fire. And enemies just disappear. He is seriously the most fun character to play from a standpoint of you just don't have to think. You really don't. There was a section in the village when I first played Hunk where I just kind of sat in a corner near a house, or near a shack. And I just kept enemies funneling in and mayhem mode constantly because it builds up so fast. Now, you will deplete ammo quickly. Just bear that in mind. Doesn't matter, though, because you're picking up, as it's the only ammo you're picking up. It's only submachine gun ammo. So you just walk around just picking stuff up and just go back to what you were doing. It's business as usual. He's broken. And he is so much fun to play. Seriously. And he's so stylish for no reason. He's the only character that can literally melee kill a boss. He snaps their neck. It's freaking dope. It's amazing. I think the only time I really had a struggle with Hunk was when I fought the Garradors. But I had so many heavy grenades and flashbangs that, they were pretty easy to take down. But once you're in mayhem mode, it's just fire and forget. Having a good time. And in my head, I'm like, man, I don't know if the developers knew this character is that broken. Because all I'm doing is shooting. Seriously, there's no tips or tricks with Hunk. He's really, submachine gun or nothing. You're going to want to immediately start funneling enemies into certain areas where you can just start firing. Hold fire down, kill them. Super easy. Now, if you ever feel the urge to just activate his melee kill because you want to see him appear behind someone to snap their neck, don't do it in a crowd. Because you will take so much damage if you do. Even as entertaining and as dramatic as it is to watch Hunk walk up, snap a neck, and then put his hands up like he didn't do anything, which is, one, makes no sense, but looks so damn cool. Don't do it in a crowd. I recommend that you only do it to bosses. Literally, just flash them, walk up to them, like press X or whatever it is that you use to stealth kill. He immediately kills him. I was stunned when he snapped Dr. Salvador's neck. I was like, wait. I didn't know that was possible. Easiest character to use in the game. There's really no tips or tricks to him. He's just so much fun to use. So let's end the video with talking about the reward for getting an S rank on each stage. Not S rank with all the characters. If you get the S rank on every stage in Mercenaries Mode, you're going to be rewarded with the hand cannon. And for those of you who persevered through professional mode, who struggled to get the hand cannon, well, guess what? There's an easier way, and I'm sorry to say it's, through Mercenaries. Sorry, just play Hunk and just get the S rank. It's super easy. On a side note, Capcom has introduced the exclusive unlocks, which will unlock the special ability of your weapon. And do you guys know what the exclusive unlock is for the hand cannon? Unlimited ammo. So, if you want to pay to win, there's that option too. That's going to do it for this video, everyone. If you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe. I am Ken from Pixelated Thoughts, and I'll talk to you next time.